Her billionaire CEO husband kicked her out while pregnant for his mistress. 1 year later, she returned as the wife of his business rival. Get out. I said, get out of my house. But Corey, I'm your wife. I'm carrying your child. You think I care? Jessica is pregnant too, and I choose her. I choose her baby, not you. Not that thing you're carrying. You were never good enough for me, Shirley. You smell like flour and mediocrity, and I am done pretending you belong in my world. Security will escort you out. Take your aprons and your small dreams and get out of my life. Some love stories do not begin with butterflies. They begin with lies disguised as promises. And Shirley Adams was about to learn the difference between a man who says forever and a man who means it. This is the story of a baker's daughter who married a tech billionaire, only to discover that some men see wives as stepping stones, not partners. This is the story of a woman thrown away like garbage while pregnant, left to die in the streets while her husband's mistress moved into her bedroom. But this is also the story of a queen who rose from the ashes, married the most powerful man in the city, and made her ex-husband watch from the ruins of his destroyed empire as she lived the life he never thought she deserved. If you have ever felt underestimated, hit that like button. If you believe in second chances, drop a comment saying, I am with you, Mr. Hearthline, and tell me where you are watching from, because what you are about to hear will restore your faith in karma. Let me take you back to where it all began. The kitchen of Adams and Daughter Bakery smelled like cinnamon and butter, and everything good in a world that was slowly revealing its cruelty. Shirley Adams Griffin stood at the wooden counter her grandmother had used for 40 years, her hands dusted with flour, her dark hair twisted into a messy bun that kept falling loose no matter how many times she pinned it. She was kneading dough for tomorrow's sourdough loaves, her movements rhythmic and meditative, the same motions her mother had taught her, the same motions her grandmother had taught her mother. Through the service window, she could see the small dining area. 5 tables with checkered tablecloths, mismatched chairs her grandfather had collected from yard sales, photographs on the walls showing 3 generations of Adams women standing in this very kitchen, covered in flour, smiling like they held the secrets of the universe in their recipes. At one of those tables sat Corey Griffin, her husband of 4 years, the man who once told her that her passion for baking was the most beautiful thing about her. He was scrolling through his phone, his designer suit looking absurdly out of place among the humble surroundings. His Rolex caught the afternoon light. His Italian leather shoes probably cost more than Shirley made in a month. He did not look up. He had not really looked at her, truly looked at her, in weeks. Babe, we need to talk. His voice cut through the quiet kitchen. Shirley wiped her hands on her apron, the one that said Adams and Daughter in fading letters. She walked out to his table and slid into the chair across from him. I am listening. She tried to smile, but something in his expression made her stomach drop. There was no warmth there, no affection, just that cold assessment she had been seeing more and more lately, the look that made her feel like a business proposal he was about to decline. Corey set down his phone. He looked at her properly for the first time in days. I have been invited to the Global Tech Summit in Singapore next month. It is a huge opportunity. Every major player in the industry will be there. Investors, CEOs, innovators. This could take my company to the next level. Shirley's heart lifted slightly. That is wonderful, Corey. I am so proud of you. When do we leave? I can ask Janet to cover the bakery. I am not taking you. The words landed like stones. Shirley blinked. What? Corey sighed. It was a heavy sound, thick with condescension. Shirley, look at yourself. Look at this place. I am networking with billionaires and venture capitalists. I cannot show up with a wife who smells like bread dough and talks about sourdough starters like they are revolutionary science. Each word was a small knife. Shirley felt them all, felt herself bleeding in ways that do not show on skin. You said you loved that I was a baker. You said it made me authentic. I said a lot of things before my company went public, before I understood what my life was going to become. Corey leaned back in his chair, his eyes traveling over her like she was something distasteful. You are holding me back, Shirley. Every time someone asks what my wife does, I have to dress it up to sound impressive. Every time there is a gala or networking event, I have to make excuses for why you cannot attend. I need someone who elevates me, not someone I have to constantly apologize for. I have never asked you to apologize for me. You do not have to ask. It is just the reality. He stood, adjusting his cufflinks, the one she had saved up for 6 months to buy him for their anniversary. I think we need space. Time to reevaluate what we both want. Shirley stood too, reaching for his hand. Corey, please, talk to me. What is really going on? Is there someone else? His jaw tightened. For just a moment, she saw guilt flash across his face before it hardened into irritation. This is not about anyone else. This is about you not being able to grow with me. I have evolved, Shirley. Maybe you should too. He walked out without looking back. The bell above the bakery door chimed cheerfully as it closed behind him, a sound completely at odds with the devastation spreading through Shirley's chest. She stood alone in her grandmother's bakery, the place where her mother had taught her to fold croissant dough, where her grandmother had sung old hymns while kneading bread, where 3 generations of Adams women had poured their hearts into feeding their community, and for the first time, she felt ashamed of it. Shirley returned to the kitchen. She looked down at her flour-covered hands, at the apron she wore with pride, at the dough waiting to be shaped, and she wondered when exactly Corey had stopped seeing her craft as art and started seeing it as embarrassment. She did not know yet that her humiliation was only beginning. She did not know that Corey had not been working late all those nights. She did not know that someone else was already sleeping in the space in his heart that used to belong to her. She did not know that in 3 weeks, her entire world would collapse so completely that she would find herself on the street with nowhere to go and a baby growing inside her that nobody wanted. But she would find out soon enough. That evening, Shirley closed the bakery and went home to the penthouse apartment she shared with Corey. It was a stunning space on the 40th floor of the most exclusive building in the city. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the skyline, modern furniture that cost more than her bakery made in a year, art on the walls that Shirley did not understand, but Corey insisted was investment-worthy. It had never felt like home. It felt like a museum where Shirley was constantly afraid to touch anything. Corey was not there. Again, his assistant had sent a text, working late. Do not wait up. Shirley made herself dinner. She ate alone at the massive dining table that could seat 12, but only ever sat 1. She washed her single plate and glass. She took a shower and climbed into their king-sized bed, sleeping on her side, the other half cold and empty. She did not hear Corey come in at 2 in the morning, did not smell the perfume that was not hers clinging to his clothes, did not see him throw those clothes directly into the dry cleaning bag instead of the hamper, did not notice the lipstick on his collar that was 3 shades darker than anything she owned. The signs were everywhere. She just loved him too much to see them. The next few weeks were a special kind of torture. Corey became more distant, more critical, more openly disgusted by everything Shirley did. He mocked the way she talked, complained about the smell of yeast that clung to her hair even after she showered, refused to be seen with her in public. One night, Shirley made his favorite meal, herb-crusted salmon with roasted vegetables and garlic mashed potatoes. She set the table with candles and flowers from the market. She wore the blue dress he once said made her eyes look like the ocean. Corey arrived home at 9, 3 hours late, and barely glanced at the table. I already ate. He walked past her toward the bedroom. Shirley followed him. Corey, please, talk to me. What did I do? How can I fix this? He spun around, his face twisted with irritation. You want to know how to fix this? You cannot, Shirley. You cannot fix being fundamentally incompatible with the life I am building. You cannot fix being ordinary when I need extraordinary. I can change. Tell me what you want me to be, and I will become that. The desperation in her own voice made her hate herself, but she could not stop. Corey laughed. It was a cruel sound. I want you to be someone you are not. I want you to have gone to an Ivy League school instead of community college. I want you to come from a family with connections instead of a family of bakers. I want you to understand which fork to use at a 7-course dinner without having to watch everyone else first. Can you change those things? Tears streamed down Shirley's face. You knew all of that when you married me. You said you loved me for who I was. I settled, Shirley. I settled because I thought passion and authenticity were enough, but they are not. Not in the world I am in now." He turned away from her, pulling off his tie. "There is someone else, is not there?" Shirley's voice was barely a whisper. Corey went very still. When he turned back to face her, there was no guilt in his eyes, just cold resignation. "Her name is Jessica Robert. She is a corporate attorney. She graduated top of her class from Harvard Law. Her father is a federal judge. Her mother sits on the board of 3 major corporations. She knows how to navigate my world because it is her world too." "How long?" 6 months. 6 months. Shirley's knees almost gave out. 6 months of lying. 6 months of late nights she had excused. 6 months of believing his irritation with her was just stress from work. "I love her, Shirley. I am sorry, but I do. She understands me in ways you never could. When we go to events together, I am proud to have her on my arm. When she talks to my colleagues, she impresses them. She makes me better. You make me feel like I am dragging dead weight." Each word was a hammer blow. "So what are you saying?" Corey pulled his phone from his pocket and texted someone. 30 seconds later, Shirley's phone buzzed. She looked down at the notification. Divorce papers, already drawn up, already signed by him, just waiting for her signature. "It is over, Shirley. Sign the papers. Let us both move on." He walked into the bathroom and closed the door. Shirley heard the shower start. She stood in their bedroom holding her phone, staring at documents that ended 4 years of marriage with clinical efficiency. She sat on the bed and cried, deep, shaking sobs that came from somewhere primal. She cried for the girl who had believed in forever. She cried for the man who had promised it. She cried for the love that had died so slowly she had not noticed until it was already buried. She did not know she was pregnant yet. That discovery would come in 2 weeks, and it would make everything so much worse. The bakery started failing around the same time Shirley discovered the truth about Jessica. Rent in the neighborhood had skyrocketed. Her suppliers raised their prices. Big chain coffee shops moved in with cheaper products and faster service. Customers who had been coming to Adams and Daughter for years started going elsewhere because they could not afford artisan bread when factory-made loaves cost half as much. Shirley had been using her savings to keep the place afloat, savings that used to be replenished by Corey's contributions to their household. But Corey had quietly stopped depositing money into their joint account 3 months ago. Another sign she had missed. Janet, her only employee and oldest friend, tried to stay optimistic. "We will figure it out, Shirley. Maybe we can do online orders. Maybe we can partner with some restaurants." But they both knew the truth. The bakery was dying. Shirley was putting up the closed sign one evening when the nausea hit. It came in a wave so powerful she barely made it to the bathroom before vomiting. She sat on the cold tile floor, her head spinning, trying to remember when she had last had her period. No. No, no, no. Not now. Please, not now. But denial does not change biology. The next morning, Shirley bought 3 different pregnancy tests from 3 different pharmacies. She took them all in the bakery bathroom, hands shaking so badly she could barely hold them steady. 2 pink lines. Pregnant. Every single one. She was going to be a mother. Shirley sat on the closed toilet lid, staring at the tests lined up on the sink, and felt her world shift on its axis. A baby. Corey's baby. Growing inside her while he was planning a life with someone else. For one wild moment, hope bloomed in her chest. Maybe this would change everything. Maybe when Corey found out he was going to be a father, he would remember the man he used to be. The man who had proposed to her in this very bakery, getting down on one, knee between the ovens, telling her she was all he would ever need. Maybe a baby would save them. She did not let herself think about the alternative, about what she would do if it did not. Shirley spent a week planning how to tell him. She deep cleaned the penthouse until it gleamed. She made reservations at the restaurant where they had their first date. She bought a tiny pair of baby shoes and wrapped them in tissue paper. The night she planned to tell him, Corey came home at midnight. He was drunk. She could smell the expensive whiskey on his breath, mixed with that perfume that was not hers. "Corey, I need to talk to you about something important. He swayed slightly, loosening his tie. Can it wait? I am exhausted. No, it cannot wait. Something in her voice made him focus. He looked at her properly, his eyes trying to find clarity through the alcohol haze. What is it? Shirley held out the small wrapped box. Her hands were trembling. Open it. Corey took the box, fumbling with the paper. When he pulled out the tiny shoes, he stared at them for a long moment. Shirley watched his face, searching for joy, for excitement, for anything that looked like love. What she saw instead was horror. No, that single word, spoken like a curse. I am pregnant, Corey. We are going to have a baby. His face went through a series of expressions. Shock, anger, disgust. He threw the baby shoes across the room. You did this on purpose. What? No, I did not. It just happened. Bullshit. You knew I was pulling away, and you got yourself pregnant to trap me. This is exactly what someone like you would do. Someone like me. Corey, I am your wife. Not for much longer. He pulled out his phone, typing furiously despite his drunken state. What are you doing? Making sure you understand that this changes nothing. Jessica is pregnant too, 3 months along, and I choose her baby. I choose our life together. Not you, not that thing you are carrying. The cruelty of it stole Shirley's breath. She felt the room tilting, felt the ground disappearing beneath her feet. That thing I am carrying is your child. Is it? The implication hit her like a physical blow. How dare you? I have never been with anyone else. I have been completely faithful to you, even while you were screwing your mistress for 6 months. Corey moved closer, his face inches from hers. She could see the hatred in his eyes. Actual hatred. Here is what is going to happen. You are going to sign those divorce papers. You are going to take the settlement I offered, which is far more generous than you deserve. And you are going to get rid of that baby, or keep it, I do not care which. But either way, you are going to disappear from my life, completely. Corey. Her voice broke on his name. I loved you. I gave you everything. I supported your dreams. I stood by you when your company was just an idea in a garage. How can you treat me like this? He stepped back, his expression cold and flat. Because you were useful then. You were the supportive girlfriend who believed in me when no one else did. But I do not need that anymore. I need someone who matches where I am now, not where I was. Jessica is pregnant with my heir. You are just pregnant with a mistake. Get out. What? Get out of my apartment. I want you gone by morning. This is my home too. My name is on the lease. Corey laughed. Check again. I had the lease rewritten 6 months ago. This apartment is solely in my name. You have no legal right to be here. So get your things and get out, or I will have security remove you. Shirley felt like she was drowning. This could not be real. This could not be happening. Where am I supposed to go? That is not my problem anymore. He pulled out his phone again and made a call. Yes, I need security up to the penthouse. I have someone who needs to be escorted out. Shirley backed away from him. You cannot do this. I am carrying your child. Prove it. Get a paternity test after it is born. If it is mine, I will pay child support. That is all you are getting from me. 2 security guards arrived within minutes. They looked uncomfortable, clearly not wanting to be part of whatever domestic situation this was. But they followed orders. Ma'am, you need to leave the premises, one of them said quietly, not meeting her eyes. Can I at least pack my things? You have 20 minutes. Shirley moved through the penthouse in a daze. She threw clothes into suitcases, grabbed her grandmother's jewelry, box, her mother's recipe binder, photographs from her childhood. The security guards watched her like she was a criminal. Corey sat on the couch, drinking more whiskey, not even looking at her. When she emerged from the bedroom with 2 suitcases and a duffel bag, the guards took them from her. They escorted her to the elevator. As the doors started to close, Shirley looked back at Corey. He was on his phone, texting, a small smile on his face. Probably texting Jessica, probably telling her the obstacle was finally removed. The elevator descended 40 floors. When the doors opened to the lobby, rain was pouring outside. The kind of storm that soaks you to the bone in seconds. The security guard set her bags just outside the building's entrance. "Do you need us to call you a cab?" one of them asked, showing the first hint of kindness. Shirley shook her head. She had no money for a cab. Her credit cards were maxed out from trying to save the bakery. Her bank account had $37. "I am fine." She was not fine. She was the opposite of fine, but she had enough pride left not to fall apart in front of strangers. She grabbed her bags and stepped out into the rain. Behind her, the building's glass doors closed and locked. She turned and looked up at the 40th floor, at the windows of the penthouse that had been her home for 4 years. The lights were still on. She could imagine Corey in there, already erasing her from his life. The rain soaked through her jacket within seconds. Shirley started walking, not sure where she was going, just knowing she could not stay there. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "The divorce papers are being sent to your bakery. Sign them within 7 days or I will contest everything and make sure you get nothing. And Shirley, do not try to contact me again. You are dead to me." She read it twice. Then she blocked the number. Not that it mattered. Corey had already blocked her on everything else. Shirley walked through the rain for hours. She tried calling Janet, but it went to voicemail. She tried calling the 2 friends she still had from college, but one had moved to another state and the other did not answer. She had no family left. Her mother had died when she was 19. Her grandmother the year after. She was completely alone. By midnight, her suitcases felt like they weighed 1,000 pounds each. Her feet were blistered. Her clothes were soaked through. She was shaking from cold and shock, and grief so overwhelming she could not process it. She found herself back at the bakery. It was dark, closed, but she had keys. She let herself in, dragging her suitcases behind her, and locked the door. The familiar smell of flour and vanilla wrapped around her like a hug. Shirley collapsed onto the floor behind the counter. She pulled her knees to her chest, wrapped her arms around them, and finally let herself shatter. Great, heaving sobs that shook her entire body. She cried for hours, until her throat was raw and her eyes were swollen and there was nothing left inside her but emptiness. When the sun came up, she was still on the floor. She had not moved all night. Her phone buzzed with a notification. An email from Corey's lawyer, the divorce papers, as promised. She opened the attachment with shaking hands. He was offering her $50,000 total. 4 years of marriage. For the business connections she had helped him build when he was nobody. For the emotional support that had kept him going when his company almost failed 3 times. $50,000 and a gag order. She was not allowed to speak publicly about their marriage, about his affair, about anything. If she did, she would owe him damages. Shirley laughed. It was a hollow, broken sound. $1,000. Jessica's engagement ring probably cost more than that. She set the phone down and placed her hand over her stomach. There was a tiny life in there, a baby who did not ask to be created in the middle of this disaster, a baby whose father had already rejected them before they even had a heartbeat. "I am sorry," Shirley whispered to her unborn child. "I am so sorry you are stuck with me. I do not know how I am going to take care of you. I do not know how we are going to survive, but I promise you, baby, I promise I will try." The baby, of course, did not respond, but Shirley felt a flutter in her chest. Not hope exactly, more like determination. She had been thrown away like garbage. She had been rejected and humiliated and left with nothing, but she was still breathing. Her heart was still beating, and that meant she could survive 1 more day, and then another, and then another after that. She would take it 1 day at a time until she figured out how to build a life from the ashes of the one that had just burned down. She just had to survive. If your heart is breaking for Shirley, show some love by hitting subscribe. Comment, "She deserves better," if you think Corey will regret this. The next 3 months were the darkest of Shirley's life. The bakery died first. The landlord raised the rent by 40%. Shirley could not pay it. She tried to negotiate, tried to explain her situation, but business was business. She had 30 days to vacate. She spent those 30 days liquidating everything. the ovens her grandmother had bought in the 1970s, the mixers her mother had saved up for, the display cases that had showcased 3 generations of baked goods. Everything sold for pennies on the dollar. The money went to debt, suppliers she owed, the landlord, her maxed-out credit cards. When it was all settled, Shirley had $3,000 to her name and nowhere to live. She tried to find an apartment, but her credit was destroyed. Every landlord ran a background check and rejected her application. Even the cheapest studios in the worst neighborhoods would not take her. So Shirley lived in her car. It was her grandmother's old sedan, a vehicle that barely ran but still had 4 wheels and a mostly intact interior. She parked it in different places each night, behind closed shopping centers, in hospital parking garages where security did not patrol, in residential neighborhoods where she could blend in. She kept her 2 suitcases in the trunk. She washed her face in public restrooms. She bought the cheapest food she could find and rationed it carefully. A box of granola bars could last a week if she only ate 1 a day. Peanut butter eaten straight from the jar was protein. Water from public fountains was free. She was 4 months pregnant now. Her body was changing in ways she could not hide anymore. Her pants would not button. Her shirts were too tight across her growing breasts. She had no money for maternity clothes, so she wore the same oversized sweatshirt every day and hoped no one looked too closely. The morning sickness was relentless. She would wake up nauseous, vomit in whatever public restroom she could find, then spend the rest of the day feeling dizzy and weak. She knew she was not eating enough, knew the baby was not getting proper nutrition, but she was doing the best she could with nothing. Janet found out Shirley was living in her car when she saw her washing her hair in a McDonald's bathroom sink. Oh my God, Shirley, what happened? Shirley tried to lie, tried to maintain some shred of dignity, but she was too exhausted. Corey kicked me out. The bakery closed. I have nowhere to go. Janet started crying. Why did not you call me? Why did not you tell me how bad it was? I did not want to be a burden. You are not a burden. You are my friend. Janet took Shirley home with her that night, fed her a real meal, let her take a hot shower, offered to let her stay. But Janet lived in a studio apartment with her boyfriend. There was barely room for 2 people, let alone 3. And when the boyfriend made it clear after 1 week that Shirley's presence was causing problems, Shirley left. She could not destroy Janet's relationship just because her own life had imploded. Back to the car, back to public bathrooms and rationed granola bars and waking up with her back screaming from sleeping in the driver's seat. Shirley's prenatal care was non-existent. She could not afford a doctor. She had applied for Medicaid but was stuck in bureaucratic limbo. Her application needed documents she did not have anymore, forms she did not know how to fill out, proof of things she could not prove. So she did not see a doctor, did not know if the baby was developing properly, did not know if her own body was handling the pregnancy okay. She just hoped for the best and tried not to think about all the things that could go wrong. One night, parked behind a closed grocery store, Shirley felt the baby move for the first time. It was a tiny flutter, like butterfly wings against the inside of her stomach. She placed her hand over the spot and felt it again. A little nudge from inside. Hello, baby, she whispered into the darkness of the car. I am your mama. I know I am doing a terrible job so far. I know you deserve better than this, but I promise you, I am going to figure this out. Somehow, I am going to give you a good life. The baby kicked again, stronger this time. Shirley started crying. She cried because she was overwhelmed. She cried because she was terrified. She cried because she loved this tiny person so much already and had no idea how to protect them. She cried herself to sleep like that, hand on her belly, tears on her face, hope dying a little more with each passing day. The car broke down on a Thursday. Shirley was driving to a different neighborhood, looking for a new place to park, when the engine just gave up. Smoke started pouring from under the hood. The car shuddered and died right in the middle of an intersection. Cars honked. Drivers yelled. Shirley tried to restart the engine, but it would not turn over. She managed to push the car to the side of the road, using strength she did not know she had, then collapsed against it, gasping for breath. A mechanic quoted her $1,200 to fix it. Money she did not have. Money she would never have. So the car sat on that street corner for 3 days until it was towed by the city. Her suitcases, her grandmother's jewelry box, her mother's recipe binder, all of it taken to an impound lot she could not afford to retrieve from. Shirley was left with the clothes on her back, her phone with 15% battery and no charger, and 37 cents in her pocket. She had officially hit rock bottom. That night, she walked. She did not know where she was going. She just walked because staying still meant confronting the reality that she was homeless, pregnant, and had absolutely nothing left. The rain started around midnight. Not a gentle drizzle, but a torrential downpour that soaked through her sweatshirt in seconds. Lightning split the sky. Thunder rattled her bones. Shirley walked through it all, her hair plastered to her face, her shoes squelching with every step. She found herself in the wealthy part of the city, the neighborhood where she used to deliver bread to fancy hotels and hospitals back when her bakery was thriving. The streets here were clean. The buildings were beautiful. Everything glowed with prosperity and safety, and all the things Shirley used to take for granted. She passed a boutique hotel where she had once delivered croissants every morning for a month. Through the windows she could see well-dressed people in the lobby, warm light, dry floors, a different world from the one she was drowning in. Her vision started to blur, whether from rain or tears or exhaustion, she could not tell. Her legs felt like lead. Her back ached. The baby was pressing on her bladder so intensely she thought she might wet herself right there on the street. She leaned against a wall to catch her breath and felt the world start to spin. Her knees buckled. She slid down the wall until she was sitting on the wet sidewalk, rain pouring over her, completely and utterly defeated. "I cannot do this anymore." She said it out loud to no one. "I cannot keep doing this. I am sorry, baby. I am so sorry, but I cannot." A car turned onto the street. Shirley expected it to drive past like all the others, like every person who had seen her struggling and looked away, like every door that had closed in her face, like Corey walking away without looking back. But the car slowed, then stopped. Right in front of her, the window rolled down. A man's voice, gentle and concerned, cut through the sound of rain. "Are you all right?" Shirley looked up, squinting through the downpour. She could not see his face clearly, just the outline of someone in an expensive car stopping for a woman who looked like exactly what she was. Desperate, homeless, at the absolute end of her rope. "I am fine." The lie tasted bitter. "You are sitting in the rain. You are soaked through. You do not look fine." I said, "I am fine. Please just go." She did not want charity, did not want pity, did not want to be looked at like she was pathetic, even though she absolutely was. The man opened his car door and stepped out. He had an umbrella. He walked over and held it over Shirley, blocking the rain even as he got soaked himself. "My name is Oscar Cooper. I own the Meridian Hotel down the street. I recognize you. You used to deliver bread to us." Shirley looked up at him properly now. Recognition flickered. She did remember him. He had always been kind, had always complimented her pastries, had always left generous tips, even though tipping was not required. "Mr. Cooper," her voice was barely a whisper. "Please, let me help you. Let me get you somewhere warm and dry. I do not have any money. I cannot pay for a room. I am not asking you to. I am asking you to let me be a human being who helps another human being who needs it." Shirley wanted to say no, wanted to protect the last tiny shred of pride she had left. But she was so cold, so tired, so completely broken. And the baby. She had to think about the baby. Okay, that single word took everything she had. Oscar helped her to her feet. He guided her to his car, opened the door for her, made sure she was settled before closing it gently. The interior was warm. The seats were soft. Classical music played quietly from the speakers. It felt like a dream after months of nightmares. Oscar got in the driver's seat and turned up the heat. "There is a blanket in the back seat. Please, use it." Shirley reached back and pulled the blanket around herself. It was cashmere. It probably cost more than she used to make in a month. She wrapped it around her shaking body, and felt warmth for the first time in what felt like forever. Oscar drove in silence, not to the hotel, Shirley noticed, but to a residential building, beautiful, modern, expensive looking. "This is where I live. I have guest rooms. You can stay as long as you need." "Mr. Cooper, I cannot." "Yes, you can. And you will, because I am not leaving you out there to die in the rain." His voice was firm but kind, the voice of someone who had made a decision and would not be argued out of it. They took an elevator to the top floor. Oscar's penthouse was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows, modern furniture, art on the walls, everything tasteful and expensive and completely overwhelming. "The guest room is this way." Oscar led her down a hallway and opened a door to a bedroom that was bigger than the entire bakery had been. There was a king-sized bed, a private bathroom, windows overlooking the city lights. There are towels in the bathroom, clothes in the dresser that should fit, various sizes. Help yourself to anything. The kitchen is always open. And please, Shirley, rest. You look like you have not rested in a very long time. Why are you doing this? Because a long time ago, someone helped me when I needed it most. I have been looking for ways to pay that forward ever since. He smiled gently. Get some sleep. We will talk in the morning. After he left, Shirley stood in the middle of that beautiful room and felt the weight of the last 3 months crash over her. She walked into the bathroom. It had heated floors, a shower with 6 different shower heads, towels so soft they felt like clouds. She stripped off her wet clothes and stepped into the shower. The hot water hit her body, and she started sobbing, great gasping sobs that echoed off the marble walls. She cried for everything she had lost, for the girl she used to be who thought love was enough, for the life growing inside her that deserved so much better than this. She cried until the water ran cold. Then she dried off with those cloud-soft towels and put on pajamas from the dresser. They fit. They were clean. They smelled like lavender fabric softener instead of car interiors and public bathrooms. Shirley climbed into the bed. It was so soft she almost cried again. She pulled the covers up to her chin and placed her hand on her belly where the baby was doing tiny somersaults. We survived tonight, baby. That is something. We survived. For the first time in months, Shirley fell asleep, feeling safe. And in the morning, she would wake up to discover that sometimes angels do exist. They just sometimes drive expensive cars and remember the woman who used to bring them fresh croissants when the world still made sense. Shirley woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then reality settled back in. Oscar Cooper's guest room, the stranger who had saved her from the rain. The kindness she still did not understand. She sat up slowly, her body aching in new ways. The baby shifted inside her, a reminder that she was not alone even when she felt utterly isolated. She placed her hand on her belly. Good morning, baby. We are still here. We made it through another night. There was a soft knock on the door. Shirley, are you awake? I made breakfast. Whenever you are ready. Oscar's voice was gentle, respectful, not demanding, just offering. I will be out in a few minutes. Shirley found clothes in the dresser like Oscar had promised. Maternity clothes in her size. How did he know? She pushed the question aside and got dressed. A soft pair of leggings, an oversized sweater, both clean, both comfortable, both making her feel almost human again. She emerged from the bedroom and followed the smell of food to the kitchen. Oscar stood at the stove, cooking eggs and toast. The table was already set. Fresh fruit, orange juice, coffee that smelled like heaven, even though she could not drink it while pregnant. Good morning. I hope you slept well, better than I have in months. Shirley's voice was hoarse from all the crying. Please, sit. Eat. You need your strength. They ate in comfortable silence. Oscar did not pry, did not ask invasive questions, just made sure her plate stayed full and her glass never emptied. Finally, Shirley could not take it anymore. Why are you doing this, Mr. Cooper? You do not know me. You do not owe me anything. Oscar set down his fork. His eyes were kind but sad, in a way that spoke of his own pain. 2 years ago, my wife Emma died of cancer. It was a long battle. Brutal. She was sick for 18 months before she finally let go. I am so sorry. During that time, your bakery kept us alive in ways you will never know. My son Jason, he was only 6 when his mother got sick. He stopped eating, stopped talking, stopped being a kid, but he would eat your cinnamon rolls. Every single morning, I would stop at Adams and Daughter and buy whatever was fresh, and Jason would eat it. Those were the only calories he would consume some days. Shirley remembered the man who came in every morning, always bought the same things, always left a $20 tip, no matter how small his order. She had thought he was just generous. She had not known he was fighting to keep his son alive while his wife died. You brought light into our darkest time. You probably do not even remember us, but I remember you. I remember your smile. I remember how you would draw little smiley faces on Jason's bag. I remember that you refused to take payment one week when I was short on cash because all my money was going to Emma's treatments. I remember, Shirley did remember, the man with the sad eyes and the little boy who never smiled. When I saw you last night, sitting in the rain, looking like the world had broken you, I could not drive past. I just could not, because you were there for us when we needed someone. Now, I am here for you. I am pregnant. The baby is not. The baby's father does not want us. I know. I can see you are pregnant, and I do not care whose baby it is biologically. What I care about is that you are safe, that you are healthy, that you have a chance to survive whatever hell you have been through. Shirley started crying again. She seemed to cry constantly these days. I do not deserve this kindness. Yes, you do. You deserve so much more than you have been given. Over the next few days, Oscar proved that his kindness was not temporary. He took Shirley to a doctor, a real prenatal specialist who examined her thoroughly, ran tests, did an ultrasound. The baby was underweight, but otherwise healthy. Shirley was anemic, malnourished, and showing signs of severe stress. But both would recover with proper care. You are having a girl, the doctor said, pointing to the ultrasound screen. A girl. Shirley stared at the grainy image of her daughter. Her tiny daughter who was fighting to grow despite impossible circumstances. She is beautiful. Oscar said softly. He had insisted on coming to the appointment, had held Shirley's hand through the examination, had not flinched when the doctor asked uncomfortable questions about the father's involvement. She is, Shirley whispered. After the appointment, Oscar took her shopping, maternity clothes, prenatal vitamins, healthy food. He bought everything without hesitation. When Shirley protested the cost, he just smiled. Money is meant to be used for things that matter. You and your daughter matter. They were loading bags into Oscar's car when a small voice called out, "Dad!" A boy came running across the parking lot. 8 years old, dark hair, his father's eyes. He skidded to a stop when he saw Shirley. "Jason, this is my friend Shirley. Shirley, this is my son Jason. You are the cinnamon roll lady." Jason's face lit up with recognition. "From Adams and Daughter. I love your bakery. Dad takes me there all the time, except it has been closed for a while." "Are you opening again?" Shirley's heart broke a little. "I am not sure, sweetheart. The bakery had to close." Jason's face fell. "That makes me sad. Your cinnamon rolls are the best in the whole world. They taste like my mom used to make before she got sick." Oscar put his hand on his son's shoulder. "Jason, Shirley is going to be staying with us for a while. She needs a safe place to rest. I expect you to be respectful and kind. Can you do that?" "Of course. Are you sick too?" Jason looked at Shirley with concern that was far too adult for an 8-year-old. "No, honey. I am not sick. I am just going through a hard time." "Oh, Dad says hard times are when we need friends the most. I will be your friend." He said it with such sincerity that Shirley had to fight back tears. "Thank you, Jason. I would like that very much." That evening, the three of them had dinner together. Jason talked non-stop about school, about his friends, about the science project he was building. Oscar listened with patience and genuine interest. Shirley watched them together and saw what a real family looked like. A father who showed up. A son who felt safe enough to be a child. Love that was not conditional or transactional. After Jason went to bed, Oscar and Shirley sat in the living room. She was curled up on the couch with tea. He was reading emails on his tablet but kept glancing at her like he was making sure she was really there. "Can I ask you something?" Shirley said quietly. "Anything. Why are you not married? I mean, you are successful, kind, a great father. Women must be lining up." Oscar smiled sadly. "After Emma died, I could not imagine being with anyone else. She was my best friend, my partner, the love of my life. When she was gone, that part of me died too. I have been going through the motions for 2 years. Working, raising Jason, existing, but not really living. I am sorry you lost her. I am sorry you lost yourself." The words hung between them. Shirley felt seen in a way she had not felt in years. Not judged, not pitied, just seen. "The man who got me pregnant. His name is Corey Griffin. We were married for 4 years. He owns a tech company, Griffin Technologies. When we met, he was nobody. Just a guy with big dreams and no resources. I believed in him. I supported him. I worked 60-hour weeks at my bakery so he could focus on building his business. When his company went public and he became a millionaire, he decided I was not good enough anymore. He started an affair with a corporate attorney named Jessica Robert. When I told him I was pregnant, he kicked me out of our home. Sent divorce papers the next day. Told me to get rid of the baby or keep it. He did not care which." Oscar's jaw tightened. Shirley could see anger flashing in his eyes. "He threw you out while you were pregnant?" "Yes. In the middle of the night. In the rain. His mistress watched from our bedroom window. If I ever meet this Corey Griffin, it will take everything in me not to destroy him. You do not have to fight my battles. Maybe not. But I want to, not because you need me to, but because someone should have been protecting you all along, and clearly no one was." Shirley felt something shift in her chest. Not love, not yet, but the beginning of it. The tiny seed that could maybe grow into something real if she could learn to trust again. Over the following weeks, a routine developed. Oscar worked from home most days, giving Shirley space but remaining available. Jason came home from school and immediately sought out Shirley, telling her about his day, showing her his homework, asking if she could help him with projects. The 3 of them cooked dinner together. Oscar was surprisingly good in the kitchen. Jason was enthusiastic if not skilled. Shirley found herself laughing for the first time in months as Jason accidentally got flour all over Oscar's suit jacket. "Dad, you look like a snowman." "Thank you, son. That is exactly the look I was going for." One evening, Jason asked the question Shirley had been dreading. "Shirley, why is your tummy so big?" She glanced at Oscar, who nodded encouragement. "I have a baby growing inside me. You are going to have a little friend to play with soon." "Really? That is so cool. Is it a boy or a girl?" "Girl. I always wanted a little sister. When Mom was alive, she said maybe we would have another baby someday. But then she got sick." His face clouded over. "Well, now you will get to be a big brother, if that is okay with you." Jason's smile could have powered the city. "That is more than okay. That is the best thing ever." He ran to his room and came back with a stuffed bear. "This was mine when I was a baby. I want the baby to have it, so she knows she is part of our family." Shirley took the bear, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you, Jason. This is the kindest gift anyone has ever given me." That night, after Jason was asleep, Oscar found Shirley on the balcony. She was holding the stuffed bear, staring out at the city lights. "He has already accepted your daughter as his sister," Oscar said softly. "I know. It terrifies me. What happens when I have to leave? When I get back on my feet and find my own place? He is going to be heartbroken." "Who says you have to leave?" Shirley turned to look at him. "I cannot stay here forever, Oscar. This is not my home." "It could be." The words hung in the air between them. "What are you saying?" "I am saying that over these past weeks, this apartment has felt like a home again. Jason is happy for the first time since his mother died. I am happy for the first time since Emma passed. You have brought life back into these walls, Shirley, and I do not want that to end. Oscar, I am pregnant with another man's baby. I am broken and damaged, and I do not even know who I am anymore. You deserve better than someone's discarded wife. Do not do that. Do not let that man's inability to see your worth make you think you are worthless. You are not broken. You are healing. There is a difference. He stepped closer. I am not asking you to marry me. I am not asking for anything except this. Heal here. Raise your daughter here. Let Jason be her big brother. Let me be your friend and your support and whatever else you need me to be. And when you are ready, if you are ever ready, maybe we can see if this could be more. I do not know how to trust again. Then let me prove I am trustworthy. Let me show you every day that not all men are like Corey Griffin. Some of us actually mean it when we say we care. Shirley looked at this man who had saved her life, who had given her shelter and safety and kindness without asking for anything in return, who looked at her like she was valuable, even when she felt worthless. Okay, she whispered. Okay, I will stay. Oscar's smile was like sunrise. The baby came early. Shirley was 7 months pregnant when her water broke at 3 in the morning. She woke up to wetness and cramping and immediate panic. Oscar, she called out, her voice sharp with fear. He was in her room within seconds, taking one look at the situation and going into action. We are going to the hospital. Right now. Can you walk? I think so. He helped her to her feet, grabbed the hospital bag they had packed. Weeks ago, woke up Jason and called a neighbor to stay with him. Within 15 minutes, they were in the car, racing through empty streets toward the hospital. It is too early. The baby is not supposed to come yet. Something is wrong. Shirley was trying not to hyperventilate. Babies come when they are ready. You are both going to be fine. I promise. You cannot promise that. Then I will stay with you through whatever happens. You are not alone, Shirley. Not anymore. The labor was fast and brutal. Shirley had no time for an epidural. The pain was unlike anything she had ever experienced. It felt like her body was being ripped apart from the inside. But Oscar was there through every contraction, holding her hand, coaching her breathing, telling her she was strong even when she screamed that she could not do it. Yes, you can. You are the strongest person I know. You survived being thrown away. You survived homelessness. You survived your body nearly shutting down. You can survive this. Push, Shirley. Push. And she did. She pushed with everything she had. Pushed until she thought she would die from the effort. Pushed until she heard the most beautiful sound in the world. A baby's cry. It is a girl. You have a daughter. The nurse placed a tiny, screaming, perfect baby on Shirley's chest. She was so small, so fragile, but she was alive. She was breathing. She was real. Hi, baby. Hi, Anna. I am your mama. I am here. Shirley was crying so hard she could barely see. The baby stopped crying when she heard her mother's voice. Her tiny eyes tried to focus. Her miniature hand wrapped around Shirley's finger. She is perfect, Oscar whispered. He was crying too. This man who had no biological connection to this child was weeping like she was his own. Would you like to hold her? Shirley asked. Oscar looked shocked. Are you sure? I am sure. The nurse took Anna and placed her in Oscar's arms. He stared down at the tiny girl with an expression of pure awe. Hello, Anna. I am Oscar. I am going to take care of you and your mama. I am going to make sure you grow up knowing you are wanted and loved and valued. That is my promise to you, little one. Anna yawned, a tiny gesture that made both adults laugh through their tears. Shirley watched Oscar cradle her daughter and felt something click into place. This was what love looked like. Not grand gestures or expensive gifts, just showing up, being present, choosing to care even when biology did not demand it. Thank you, she said softly. For what? For being here, for being you, for proving that good men still exist. Oscar met her eyes over Anna's head. Thank you for letting me be part of this, part of your life, part of her life. In that hospital room, with a premature baby sleeping peacefully between them, Shirley Adams and Oscar Cooper became a family. Not through marriage or blood, but through choice, through showing up, through love that was offered freely and accepted gratefully. 2 weeks later, they brought Anna home. Jason was waiting at the door, practically vibrating with excitement. "Can I see her? Can I hold her? I will be super careful, I promise." Oscar helped Jason settle on the couch with pillows supporting his arms. Then he placed Anna in her big brother's lap. "Anna, I am Jason. I am your big brother. I am going to protect you and play with you and teach you stuff. We are going to be best friends." Anna's tiny hand gripped Jason's finger. The boy's face transformed with wonder. "She likes me." "She loves you," Shirley corrected, sitting beside them. "Just like I love you." Jason looked up at her. "I love you too. And Anna. And Dad. We are a family now, right?" "Right," Oscar confirmed, his voice thick with emotion. "We are a family." Over the next year, they built a life together. Oscar officially asked Shirley to be his girlfriend 6 months after Anna was born. Their first official date was a disaster. Anna cried the entire time the babysitter was there, forcing them to come home early. They ended up eating takeout on the couch with a fussy baby between them. "Best date I have ever been on," Oscar said, bouncing Anna while Shirley ate cold Chinese food. "You are lying." "I am not. I get to be here, with you and the kids. I get to be part of something real. That is better than any fancy restaurant." Shirley leaned over and kissed him. Their first real kiss. It was soft and sweet and tasted like hope. "I love you, Oscar Cooper. I love you too, Shirley Adams. I have loved you since the day I pulled you out of that rain. I was just waiting for you to be ready to hear it." They got engaged on Anna's first birthday. Oscar proposed in front of both kids, getting down on one knee while Jason held Anna and prompted her to say yes in her baby babble. "Shirley Adams, you brought my family back to life. You gave Jason a mother when he thought he would never have one again. You gave me a reason to believe in love after I thought that part of my life was over. Will you marry me? Will you let me be your husband and Anna's father and build this beautiful chaotic life with me forever?" Yes. 1,000 times, yes. The ring was perfect, simple, elegant, everything Shirley was. They started planning a wedding, but first, Oscar had business to attend to. The annual Tech Innovators Convention was coming up. Every major player in the technology industry would be there, including, Oscar discovered when he saw the attendee list, Corey Griffin of Griffin Technologies. Oscar's company, Cooper Enterprises, had been thriving. They had developed groundbreaking software that was revolutionizing data security. Every major corporation wanted to partner with them. Oscar was the keynote speaker at the convention, the man everyone wanted to meet. Corey Griffin's company was struggling. Oscar had been following the news. Griffin Technologies had made several bad investments. Their stock was plummeting. Industry insiders whispered about possible bankruptcy. When Oscar told Shirley he was going to the convention, he saw fear flash across her face. "Corey will be there. His company is in trouble. He is probably desperately looking for investors. I know. Are you going to talk to him?" Oscar's jaw tightened. "If our paths cross, yes. I have some things I would like to say to the man who threw you and Anna away. Oscar, please. I do not want you to do anything that could hurt your business." He took her hands in his. "Nothing I say to Corey Griffin will hurt my business. But he should know that his actions have consequences, that he does not get to destroy you and just walk away unscathed." The convention center was massive. Hundreds of booths, thousands of attendees. Oscar was immediately surrounded by people wanting his attention, business proposals, partnership offers, interview requests. He was standing near his company's booth when he saw him. Corey Griffin, looking significantly worse than his publicity photos. His suit was nice, but not designer. His watch was expensive, but not outrageously so. He looked tired, stressed, desperate. Corey was talking to a group of investors, clearly pitching them. Oscar could see the rejection in their body language before they even spoke. "Sorry, Griffin. Your company is too unstable right now. We cannot risk it." They walked away, leaving Corey standing alone, defeat written across his face. That is when Corey saw Oscar. Recognition flickered. They had been introduced years ago at a similar event, back when Corey was riding high and Oscar was rebuilding after his wife's death. "Cooper, Oscar Cooper." Corey approached with forced enthusiasm. "Good to see you again. Congratulations on your keynote. Your company is doing incredible things." "Thank you." Oscar's voice was ice. "I was hoping we could talk. Griffin Technologies is looking for strategic partnerships. I think our companies could really—" "I know exactly who you are, Griffin," Oscar interrupted. Corey blinked, confused. "We have met before, yes, a few years ago at— I am not talking about that. I am talking about what you did to Shirley." The color drained from Corey's face. "Shirley? How do you— Are you— I am the man who found her in the rain after you threw her out while she was pregnant. I am the man who was there when she gave birth to your daughter. I am the man who has spent the last year loving her the way she always deserved to be loved." Corey took a step back, like he had been physically hit. "You are with Shirley?" "I am engaged to Shirley. We are getting married in 3 months. And I am going to adopt Anna. I am going to be the father you were too cowardly to be." Oscar's voice was quiet but carried the weight of mountains. "You threw away the best thing in your life because she was not impressive enough for your colleagues. You kicked a pregnant woman into the street so your mistress could move into her bedroom. You are a coward and a disgrace. And I want you to know that every time you see a headline about Cooper Enterprises, every time you see my name, I want you to remember what you lost." Corey's hands were shaking. "I made mistakes. I know that now. Is Shirley, is she happy? Happier than she ever was with you? She glows, Griffin. She laughs. She dreams again. She is exactly who she was always meant to be. And none of it includes you. Can I see Anna? I have rights. You have the rights the court gave you. Supervised visitation once a month, which you have not used once in the year since she was born. You do not get to suddenly decide you care now that your life is falling apart." Oscar stepped closer, his presence dominating the space between them. "Your company is dying. I have been watching. You made reckless decisions trying to impress your mistress. Where is she now, by the way? Jessica Robert? I heard she left you the moment your money started running out." Corey's face crumbled. "She took everything. My money, my jewelry, everything I gave her. She was seeing other men the whole time. Playing me. Karma." Oscar said simply, "You treated Shirley like she was disposable. You made her feel worthless. You destroyed her self-esteem and her livelihood and her sense of safety in the world. And now you are learning what it feels like to be used and thrown away. How does it feel, Griffin? How does it feel to be on the other side?" Corey's eyes were red. "I know I do not deserve her forgiveness, but please, tell her I am sorry. Tell her I see now what I could not see then. She was always enough. I just was not. I will tell her nothing. You are nothing to us. Nothing to her. Nothing to Anna. You are just the biological component that helped create a beautiful child. But you are not her father. I am." Oscar turned to walk away, then paused. "Oh, and Griffin, if you are looking for investors, you will not find them here. I have made sure of that. I have let everyone who matters know exactly what kind of man you are. No one wants to do business with someone who throws pregnant women into the street. You ruined me." Corey whispered, "No. You ruined yourself. I just made sure everyone knew about it." Oscar walked away, leaving Corey standing alone in the middle of the convention center, surrounded by people who no longer saw him as relevant. If you believe Oscar is the man Shirley deserved all along, smash that like button. Comment where you are watching from, and let me know if you think Corey deserves what is happening to him. 6 months after the convention, Corey's company filed for bankruptcy. Griffin Technologies was dissolved. Assets were liquidated. The only buyer interested in purchasing parts of the company was Cooper Enterprises. Oscar bought Corey's proprietary software for a fraction of what it was worth. bought the office building for pennies on the dollar, hired away all of Corey's best employees by offering them better salaries and actual respect. Corey was left with nothing. The penthouse he had shared with Jessica was foreclosed. His luxury cars were repossessed. His investment portfolio evaporated. Everything he had built by stepping on Shirley's back crumbled to dust. Jessica had disappeared months earlier. Security footage showed her leaving their penthouse in the middle of the night with suitcases full of jewelry and designer clothes. She had emptied their joint bank account, maxed out credit cards in his name, destroyed his credit and his finances on her way out the door. When Corey tried to track her down, he discovered she had scammed multiple wealthy men. There were warrants out for her arrest in 3 states. She was a professional con artist, and he had been her easiest mark. Corey ended up in a studio apartment in the worst part of the city, the kind of neighborhood Shirley had tried to find housing in when she was homeless. He took a job doing tech support for minimum wage. The man who had once been worth millions was reduced to living paycheck to paycheck. And then he saw the news. It was everywhere: social media, news outlets, magazine covers. The wedding of the year: Oscar Cooper, billionaire tech mogul, marrying Shirley Adams, founder of the Adams and Daughter legacy bakery chain. Shirley had rebuilt her grandmother's bakery with Oscar's support and her own determination. She now had 20 locations across 3 states. Her story, from homeless and pregnant to successful entrepreneur, had been featured in business magazines as an inspiration. The wedding photos were stunning. Shirley in a designer gown that made her look like royalty. Oscar in a perfectly tailored tux, looking at his bride like she hung the moon. Jason in a little suit, walking Anna down the aisle as ring bearer and flower girl. 500 guests at an oceanside estate. Everything elegant, everything perfect. Everything Corey had once told Shirley she was not sophisticated enough to have. Corey stared at the photos on his phone screen in his tiny apartment and felt his world end all over again. She was always enough. She was always extraordinary. I just could not see it. He scrolled through more photos. Shirley laughing, Oscar kissing her hand, Anna in her father's arms. Oscar's father, not Corey. Anna called Oscar Daddy. The articles made that clear. Corey had legal visitation rights, once a month, supervised visits. He had used them exactly 3 times in Anna's 2 years of life. Each time had been torture. Anna would cry when he held her. She did not know him. She reached for Oscar, called for her daddy, wanted nothing to do with the stranger the court said was her biological father. The last visit, Anna had looked at him and said her first full sentence: "You are not my daddy. My daddy is at home." Corey had not gone back after that, could not bear to see his daughter reject him while embracing the man who had replaced him in every way that mattered. Now, looking at the wedding photos, Corey understood what he had done. He had not just lost a wife. He had not just lost a daughter. He had lost his soul. He had traded everything real for things that turned out to be illusions. Money that evaporated. A woman who never loved him. Status that disappeared the moment his company failed. Respect that was always conditional. Shirley had offered him unconditional love, had supported him when he had nothing, had believed in him when no one else did, had been willing to build a life with him based on mutual respect and partnership. And he had thrown her away because she was not impressive enough for people whose opinions ultimately meant nothing. Corey tried to reach out. He sent emails that bounced back as blocked. He sent letters that were returned unopened. He showed up at one of Shirley's bakery locations and was removed by security before he even made it through the door. Finally, he managed to get a message to her through his lawyer. A letter delivered as part of official custody documentation. "Shirley, I know I have no right to contact you. I know I destroyed everything we had. But I need you to know that I see it now. I see what I lost. You were a queen, and I treated you like you were worthless. I threw you away for a woman who was using me. I destroyed the best thing in my life because I was too arrogant to recognize value when it was standing right in front of me. I am not asking for forgiveness. I do not deserve that. I am not asking for another chance. I know that ship has sailed. I just need you to know that you were always enough. You were always extraordinary. I was just too blind to see it. I will regret losing you for the rest of my life. I threw away a queen for a crown that turned out to be plastic. And now I have nothing, while you have everything. I am sorry, Shirley. I am so sorry." Shirley read the letter once, then she handed it to Oscar. "He wants forgiveness. Do you want to give it to him?" Shirley thought about the girl she had been. Broken, homeless, convinced she was worthless because one man could not see her value. She thought about the woman she had become. Strong, successful, surrounded by people who loved her genuinely. Married to a man who proved every day that real love is about choice and commitment, not convenience. No, I do not forgive him. Maybe someday I will, but not today. Today I just want to live my beautiful life and let him live with his choices." Oscar pulled her close. "That is the healthiest thing I have ever heard you say. He made me feel like I was nothing, but he was wrong. I was always something. I just needed to survive long enough to remember that." She looked at Oscar, at Anna, playing with Jason in the next room, at the life they had built together. "I am not defined by who threw me away. I am defined by who I became in the rising." Oscar kissed her forehead. "My queen," he whispered. "Your queen," she confirmed. 5 years later, Shirley Adams Cooper stood in the flagship location of Adams & Daughter Legacy Bakeries. The original location, rebuilt in the same neighborhood where her grandmother had first opened shop. The place where 3 generations of Adams women had poured their hearts into feeding their community. The bakery was thriving. 20 locations had grown to 40. She employed over 200 people. She had a James Beard nomination. Her cookbook was a bestseller. She did charity work, providing free bread to homeless shelters and food banks. She was exactly who she was always meant to be. Oscar walked in with their 2 younger children, twins, boy and girl, born 3 years after the wedding. Behind them came Jason, now 13, with Anna holding his hand. Anna was 7. Beautiful, brilliant, absolutely certain that Oscar Cooper was her father in every way that mattered. "Mama, can we have cinnamon rolls?" Anna asked, using the same phrase Jason had used when he was her age. "Of course, baby. Let me make them fresh." Shirley went into the kitchen, the same kitchen her grandmother had worked in, and started making her signature cinnamon rolls. Oscar joined her, helping with the dough like he had learned to do over their years together. "I love watching you work. You get this look on your face, like you are exactly where you are supposed to be. I am exactly where I am supposed to be. With you, with our kids, doing what I love." She smiled at him. "Corey Griffin tried to take everything from me, my home, my dignity, my sense of self-worth, but he could not take my ability to create. He could not take my resilience. He could not take my value, no matter how hard he tried to convince me I did not have any. You rebuilt yourself into something he could never deserve. I rebuilt myself into something I deserve. That is the difference. I am not living well to spite him. I am living well because I finally understand that I was always worthy of a good life." The door chimed. A customer walked in, then another, then a family, with 3 kids. The bakery filled with people, with laughter, with the smell of fresh bread and new beginnings. Across the city, in his studio apartment, Corey saw a news notification on his phone. Shirley Adams Cooper had just been named Businesswoman of the Year. The article detailed her journey from homelessness to success. It mentioned her husband Oscar, CEO of Cooper Enterprises. It showed photos of their family. Corey enlarged a photo of Anna, his biological daughter, who did not know him, who would grow up with Oscar's last name and Oscar's love and Oscar's presence at every important moment. He had visitation rights he never used, had a daughter who was a stranger, had lost everything real in pursuit of things that turned out to be worthless. His phone rang. A creditor. He ignored it. Another bill he could not pay. Another reminder of how far he had fallen. On his refrigerator hung a single photograph, the only one he had kept from his marriage. Shirley in her wedding dress, the wedding to him, smiling like she believed in forever. He kept it as a reminder, not of what he had, but of what he had thrown away. Some men learn too late that a woman's worth is not measured by her resume, or her social standing, or her ability to impress strangers at parties. A woman's worth is measured by her character, her strength, her capacity to love even when love has hurt her. Shirley had all of that, and Corey had been too foolish to see it until it was gone. He would spend the rest of his life knowing he had held gold and mistaken it for copper, had held a queen and treated her like a servant, had held forever and traded it for right now. The greatest punishment was not poverty or obscurity or public failure. The greatest punishment was knowing exactly what he had lost and living every day with the certainty that he would never get it back. Meanwhile, Shirley went home with her family. They had dinner together. Oscar helped Jason with his homework. Shirley gave the twins their bath. Anna insisted on a story before bed, the same one every night. The story of the princess who lost everything but found something better. And when the children were asleep and the house was quiet, Shirley and Oscar sat on their balcony overlooking the city. The same balcony where he had first told her she could stay. Where they had fallen in love slowly and carefully. Where they had built something real. "Do you ever think about him?" Oscar asked. "Sometimes. I think about who I was when I was with him. How small I made myself trying to fit into his idea of who I should be. And now? Now I know I was never too much or not enough. I was always exactly the right amount of me. He just was not capable of seeing it." She leaned her head on Oscar's shoulder. "You know what the best revenge is? It is not his failure or his regret or watching him lose everything. The best revenge is this: sitting here with you, raising our children, building businesses and dreams and a life so full of love that he becomes irrelevant. He is not even a footnote in my story anymore. He is just the thing that had to break so something better could be built." Oscar kissed the top of her head. "I love you, Shirley Cooper, my queen, my partner, my forever. I love you too. My king, my choice." Home, and there, under the stars, in the life they had built together, Shirley Adams Cooper understood a fundamental truth. You are not defined by who discards you. You are not diminished by who fails to see your value. You are not limited by who tells you that you are not enough. You are defined by how you rise, by who you choose to become in the aftermath, by the life you build from the ashes of the one that burned down. Corey Griffin threw her away, expecting her to shatter. Instead, she became a masterpiece. And that was the best ending of all. If this story touched your heart, show some love. Hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and drop a comment telling me where in the world you are watching from. Or just say, "I am with you, Mr. Hearthline." Because stories like this remind us that our worth is not determined by those who cannot see it. The ones who discard us make room for those who will cherish us. Never let anyone make you feel ordinary when you are extraordinary. True love is not about status or wealth. It is about showing up, choosing someone daily, and building something real. What goes around, comes around. Treat people with dignity, because karma is always watching. Remember, queens do not compete with women who are still operating like pawns. They build empires and leave the past in the ruins where it belongs. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for believing that broken people can become whole again. Until next time, this is Mr. Hearthline reminding you that your story is not over. The best chapters are still being written. Keep rising. Keep building. Keep becoming the person you were always meant to be. God bless you all.